Hi everyone, it's Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video I'm going to show you how to crochet the rainy day throw blanket. I really love this pattern because the way we do the edges, we don't have to add any additional trim at all. You just work the repeats to the length that you want. And of course, I'll explain more about that as we get a little farther on in the video. This is a nice lightweight pattern, and I love the way the mandala yarn striped on this one. It looks like a pastel rainbow. We called it the rainy day throw blanket because it might be raining or chilly outside, but you can wrap yourself in this comfy and cool pastel rainbow. It makes a nice, cool summer weight blanket, and it's also a lovely blanket to throw across your favorite couch or comfy chair. Now you can find this free crochet pattern on my blog, and as always, you can find that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. To make the rainy day throw blanket, you're going to need about 10 ounces of a number 3 weight yarn. It's a light yarn. It's a little bit lighter than your number 4. And I used Mandala, and the name of this yarn is called Phoenix. And you can see it's a number 3. And each one of these has about 5.3 ounces. And so you're going to need 2 of these. But you don't have to use the striping yarn. You don't have to use Mandala. You can use any number 3 weight yarn to make this throw. And like I said, you're going to need about 10 ounces. And this is a 100% acrylic yarn as well. I really love, this is one of my favorites of the Mandala, the Phoenix. All right, and you'll need 2 of those. We're going to be stitching with our eye hook, which is a little bit unusual for a number 3 weight yarn, but we want it to be a loose and lacy throw. And so the eye hook is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook, and you'll just need your needle for weaving in your ends and your scissors. To make the blanket, you're going to need to stitch 124 foundation double crochet stitches, and that's going to get you a blanket that's approximately 36 wide by 42 inches long. And you can adjust that by multiples to make it wider, and those multiples are 10 chains or 10 foundation double crochets plus 4. All right, 10 chains equal approximately 3 inches, and then you can add more rows because 2 rows equal approximately 1 inch. And I'm saying approximately because remember, everybody stitches differently. You might stitch a little tighter or a little looser. And I always recommend that when you're making a project like this and you want it to be a specific size, to keep that tape measure handy and measure as you go so it's the size that you want. So to make the pattern according to what I have written, you're going to need 124 foundation double crochets. Now I'm not going to be making another whole blanket. I'm going to be making a swatch, and I'm going to make my swatch 44 foundation double crochets. Now if you don't prefer to do the foundation double crochet, you can chain and then make sure that you have 124 double crochets. All right, it can be done both ways. I just prefer the foundation double crochet for this project. We're going to make our slip knot. And we're going to chain 4 chains. Yarn over and go in the 4th chain from the hook and pull up a loop. Yarn over and only go through that first loop. We've just made our chain. Now we're going to yarn over, go through the next 2, yarn over, and go through the next 2. Now we've made our double crochet. When you're making a foundation double crochet row, you're making the chain and the stitch at the same time. Yarn over, we're going to go in that chain that we made, pull up a loop, yarn over, and just go through that first loop, yarn over, go through the next 2, yarn over, and go through the next 2. You'll also be noticing that our stitches are a little bit loose, and that is exactly the way that we want them. This is a light and lacy blanket. It's not intended to be a big heavy blanket that keeps you warm in the winter, although it looks lovely thrown across your couch in the winter as well. I like to have a lightweight blanket nearby for when the air conditioning makes me just a little bit chilly. So when you're doing your beginning foundation double crochets, just take your time. And something that I want to recommend that you get your stitch markers nearby. Let me make this next stitch. Pull up a loop, yarn over, just go through the first loop, yarn over, go through the next 2, yarn over, and go through the next 2. Now, what you can do, so you don't have to count out all 124 stitches, is you can do 10 stitches or maybe 20 and mark it with a stitch marker. And then you don't have to go back and recount all those stitches. All right, so I have our chain 3 here counts as our first, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8. 9. And 10. So I would take one of my stitch markers and I would mark that 10th stitch. Now I know I have 10 stitches there and I can keep going, and I don't have to keep recounting all the stitches that I've made. All right, so I'm going to make 44 foundation double crochets because I'm making a swatch. To make the blanket, you need to have 124 foundation double crochets. Once you have stitched your 124 foundation double crochets, and you can see I've marked mine every 10 stitches because I'm doing a swatch of 44 stitches. So I'm taking out those stitch markers. We're going to chain 3 and turn. Now our chain 3 here and on every row will count as our first double crochet. So we're going to double crochet in the next 3 stitches. And so that will give us 4 double crochets at the beginning of the row because our chain 3 counted as our first, and then we did 3 more. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2. We're going to skip the next 2 double crochets and place 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So we'll go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through those 2 stitches. Then we'll single crochet in the next stitch. Chain 2, skip 2, and now we're going to double crochet in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, before we go on, I want you to take a look at this. Here's our 4 double crochets at the beginning, chain 2, skip 2, 1 single crochet in the next 2, chain 2, skip 2, And now we stitched 4 double crochets, and we're going to repeat this. Chain 2, skip 2, 1 single crochet in the next 2, chain 2, skip 2, and 1 double crochet in the next 4. Four double crochets, chain 2, skip 2, 1 single crochet in the next 2, chain 2, skip 2, and then 1 double crochet in the next 4. And then we'll repeat this across. Chain 2, skip 2, 1 single crochet in the next 2, chain 2, skip 2, and then 1 double crochet in the next 4. And that's your repeat for row 2. The 4 double crochets, chain 2, skip 2, 1 single crochet in the next 2, chain 2, skip 2, 4 double crochets, and repeat all the way across your row. And when you get to the end, you should end with 1 double crochet in the last 4. When you get to the end of your row, you're going to end with 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets, just like we have at the beginning of the row. And then we're going to chain 3 and turn. And now we're just going to repeat what we did on row 2. So our chain 3 counts as our first. We're going to double crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, 3, and so that gives us 4 double crochets at the beginning. We're going to chain 2, and this time we're going to single crochet in the 2 single crochets. 1 and 2, and then chain 2. We'll skip those 2 chains and stitch 1 double crochet in those 4 double crochets. All right, let's take a look. So we have our 4 double crochets at the beginning because our chain 3 counted as our first. We chain 2, we skip the 2 chains, 1 single crochet in those 2 single crochets, chain 2, skip those 2 chains, and then 1 double crochet in those 4 double crochets. And that's our repeat for row 3. Chain 2, 1 single crochet in the 2 single crochets and chain 2. Then 1 double crochet in the next 4 double crochets. And repeat. Chain 2, 1 single crochet in the 2 single crochets, chain 2, and 1 double crochet in those 4 double crochets. Whoops, there we go. And again, you'll repeat this all the way across. Chain 2, 1 single crochet in the 2 single crochets, chain 2, and then 1 double crochet in those 4 double crochets, and repeat till you get to the end. And again, you'll end with 1 double crochet in those last 4 stitches. Here's my last 4 double crochets. I'm going to chain 3 and turn. Now I do want to say that if you're having a little trouble because we're using just a little bit bigger crochet hook with a 3-weight yarn, it can be a little bit clumsy at first, but it's real important because you want this to be a light and lacy type blanket, okay? And so that's why we're using that little bit bigger hook, because we want your stitches to be just a little bit looser. All right, let's do row 4. Our chain 3 counts is our first double crochet again, and then we're going to double crochet in the next 3 stitches. And then we're just going to repeat what we did on row 3. We're going to chain 2. We're going to place 1 single crochet in each of those 2 single crochets. And then we're going to chain 2. 1 double crochet in those next 4 double crochets. And it's starting to look like a butterfly, isn't it? All right, so what we're doing for row 4 is we're just repeating row 3. Chain 2, 1 single crochet in the 2 single crochets, chain 2, and then 1 double crochet in each of the 4 double crochets. We're going to repeat this all the way across, and again you'll end with 4 double crochets. So basically we're repeating row 3. All right, so I've completed row 4, just repeating what we did on row 3. Here's my last 4 double crochets and chain 3. Now we're going to turn our work, and on this row we're again going to place 1 double crochet in those first 3 stitches. And remember, our chain 3 counts as our first, and so we're placing 1 double crochet in the next 4 stitches. And now we're going to chain 6. All right, we're going to skip these 6 stitches. Those 2 chains, 2 single crochets, and 2 chains. We're going to skip this and stitch a double crochet in those next 4 double crochets. And this is how it looks. We have our 4 double crochets. We're going to chain 6, skip all 6 of these stitches, the 2 chains, the 2 single crochets, and the 2 chains, and then stitch 1 double crochet in each of those next 4 double crochets. So we've stitched those 4 double crochets. We're going to chain 6, we're going to skip those 6 stitches, which are the 2 chains, the 2 single crochets, and the 2 chains, and stitch 1 double crochet in each of those 4 double crochets. And that is the repeat for row 5. Chain 6, skip those 6 stitches, and stitch 1 double crochet in the next 4 stitches. And we'll repeat this all the way across our row till we reach those last 4 double crochets. Again, your last 4 stitches on this row and every row will be 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets, chain 3, and turn. Now, what we're going to do on this row is we're going to make a solid row of double crochets. Our chain 3 counts is our first double crochet, And again, we're going to double crochet in the next 3. And now we're going to stitch 6 double crochets around this chain 6. So yarn over, we're going to go around and stitch our double crochet. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we have our 4 double crochets at the beginning and then 6 double crochets in that chain 6 space or around the chain 6. All right, so now we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in the next 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, we're going to stitch 6 double crochets in that chain 6 space around our chain 6. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, let's take a look at it. And this is the way it should look. And what we're doing is we're stitching a solid row of double crochet so that it looks like this one. And so the repeat is, for row 6 is 1 double crochet in the 4 double crochets, and then 6 double crochets in that chain 6 space around the chain 6. So there's 3, 4, 5, and there we go, 6. And we will repeat this all the way across. And again, we'll have 1 double crochet in our last 4 stitches. So here is my swatch after I've completed my 6th row, which is a solid row of double crochets, 4 double crochets, 6 in the chain 6 space. And what you're going to find is by having those 4 double crochets at the beginning and the end, no trim is actually needed unless you want to. And also, you can continue to repeat this to the length that you want. And so what we're going to do is we're going to repeat row 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to repeat those rows 2 through 6 15 more times, and that's going to give you the length that we talked about, that is about 42 inches long. Now again, measure as you go and continue to repeat until it's the length that you need. I like them a little longer, so I'm probably going to add more rows to mine. And the neat thing about this is once it gets to be the length that you need, you've got that solid row of double crochet, you can tie off and weave in that end, and you're done. And all you have to do is weave in your beginning tail and your ending tail, and you're finished with your blanket. All right, so just to repeat, we're going to repeat rows 2 through 6 15 more times. Here is my completed blanket with my 15 rows of repeat, and here's my last row. I stitched my 4 double crochets, my 6 in between, and so all I did is tie off and weave in my end with my needle. Super easy blanket. It works up really quick. It makes a wonderful gift as well. And a lot of times We are given great big heavy blankets, and these nice lightweight blankets are wonderful to have along in the car or just to have around to make your house look beautiful. And that is our rainy day throw blanket.